Good morning. This is Sally Morgan, physical therapist, craniosacral therapist, and Tellington T-Touch practitioner for animals and people. This is Tristan. He's a Corgi, and we're here for an episode of Conversations with a Corgi. Oh, it's been a busy week. I have a friend in the hospital, in the ICU, so I've been over there to work on her at like 6 in the morning a couple of days this week till like 8. Of course, with the weather, as Danny can appreciate in South Dakota, lots of yard work to get things put away before we get some snow, which they keep saying is just sprinkles here and there for a couple of weeks at least. Thank God, because I do not like it and I do not want more than absolutely necessary. Anyway, I've been working on an article this week for someone about dog vocalizing, and I think we'll do a little series now about different dog sounds and what they mean. And we're going to start today. She brought up the idea of dog purring. Dogs do not purr, cats purr. And I think we'll look at a little bit about what makes cat purring unique before we talk about sounds dogs make that are kind of similar. Sorry about the glare on the glasses. Let's switch to the expensive glasses. They have much less of a glare. There you go. So cats purr by moving the muscles in their larynx, which is their voice box, and they also move the muscles in their diaphragm. So you can feel, that's back here in the middle of the body, so you can feel the whole cat's body moving when they're purring. And the muscles are vibrating at like 20 to 30 times a second, which is really, really fast. And I think to do that, it takes a certain amount of relaxation in the body and a certain amount of relaxation in the throat. So I wanted to know, cats, what frequency do they purr at? Now, the range is huge, 50 hertz to 150 hertz. Now, there's a researcher in California that I know that I met in like 2003 or 4, and she's doing research on the frequency of cat purring, and she has found that they purr at different frequencies depending on what organ they're helping with. Oh, you have snow there already in South Dakota. Winter is there. No, we're totally in denial here. I'm still praying on Sunday when it's 50. I can pretend it's summer. And boy, I'll tell you, these New Englanders, they wear shorts. These big hairy men, they wear shorts until it's so cold and the snow's so deep. Anyway, and a big sweatshirt usually. So cats purring at 50 to 150 hertz. So I know that I have tuning forks at that frequency, and cats seem to change the frequency of their purring depending on what part of the body on you they're laying on or what part of their body needs work. So in fact, the fork that was made to vibrate at the frequency of ohm, which is 136.1 hertz, is in the range of a cat. And I don't know if this will work. Can you hear that? That's a pretty high pitch for a cat. They're usually lower. Now I'm only hitting this on a book, so you might not be able to hear it. But when I use this fork on the diaphragm of a cat, for instance, are you a cat? They really like it, and they often start purring, which is pretty interesting. And cats purr for a lot of reasons. Cats can purr because they're happy, of course. We all think cat purring is always when they're happy, but it's not always when they're happy. Cats can purr when they're anxious. They can also purr when they're in pain or distress. And I think when they're purring in pain or distress, it's a healing thing for them. Because as we know from all the work I've done with tuning forks and vibrational healing and anybody that studies quantum mechanics, raising the vibration, raising the frequency of something brings it closer to health. And so I think when cats are purring in stress and pain, it's a way to help themselves. They even purr when they're having kittens sometimes, so that's pretty interesting. Of course, real scientists theorize that purring is a mechanism that helps cats rest and repair. And of course, if they're in that relaxed state for those muscles to vibrate at that frequency, 20 to 30 times a second, that is when you're in a deeper brainwave pattern, which is a time that we see in still points in craniosacral therapy, which is a time lasting seconds to minutes to allow deep repair and healing in the body. We've seen these still points occur during T-touch. We've looked at the deeper brainwave patterns we get equally on both hemispheres of the brain during T-touch. So cats are doing for themselves and those they're sitting with a lot of the same work we do when we do these different modalities. So rabbits purr too. Rabbits purr in a totally different way than cats, and frankly, it probably isn't really, strictly speaking, purring. I've had lots of rabbits, and when rabbits are happy, they'll sit with their ears back like this, kind of scrunched down, and they've got a little smile, and their little bunny cheeks are fat, and they make this little crunching noise, kind of like, it's not like a cow chewing a cud because that's kind of squishy and soft, but it's this little crunching vibration noise with their teeth. It's not teeth chattering, but it's something like that, and it's a low pitch. And so when rabbits are really happy, they'll do this little and their whole body vibrates a little bit. So I consider that rabbit purring. Now, this person said, oh good, you could hear it, Ira, I'm glad. So this person wanted to know about dogs purring. Now she's got a hound beagle mix. That is a dog that makes a lot of different sounds. All of our dogs make the same sounds, but those two breeds are vocal, vocal, vocal. You've got the baying of the hound and the beagle, the howling. A lot of hounds, depending on whether it's a sight hound or like a coon hound, they're going to have different kinds of sounds they make when they're in pursuit and when then they tree something, like a coon hound. Trees a raccoon, it has a different howl. So I think what she's talking about when she talks about dog purring is what a lot of dogs do. Every size and breed I know has done this, but especially those that have a good relationship with their people. They make this kind of sound when you're feeding them, or after they're doing a stretch in the morning, or sometimes when they're really content before they settle in, like when they're doing another stretch to settle into their bed or your bed where they're sleeping at night. And I've heard lots of dogs make this sound. It's kind of a singing sound. So I think that's something that some people would consider dog purring. But strictly speaking, dogs don't make the same kind of purr as a cat. And dogs do have teeth chattering, but that's usually a sign of extreme stress, extreme fear. And it is very different than when a rabbit purrs. So if there's any relationship between those teeth chattering mechanisms between a rabbit and a dog, there isn't. Because dogs, when their teeth are chattering, they're really terrified. Linda Tellington always tells a story about her little Westie being terrified of thunder and lightning suddenly later in life when there was like a very loud storm right over where they were. And the dog was so scared, her eyes were bugged out, her ears were up, and she was standing there with her teeth chattering. And Linda was literally worried that the dog's teeth would break. She was chattering so hard, a little Westie. So when that happens, obviously it's not a good thing to be happening to your dog. Very different than when a rabbit is sort of crunching and, you know, making this little noise when they're content. And I haven't heard rabbits do that all that often. If you know your rabbit well and you spend a lot of time with your rabbit and you've done things to make them feel comfortable, rubbing them under their dewlap, smoothing back their ears, and they're sitting on your lap and they're safe and comfortable and they're not feeling like rambunctious, they make this cute little crunching sound. You're frozen in Maine. See, we're getting this, but we're not as cold as any of you guys. Anyway, so that's a little look at purring today. I don't know when we'll be back for another episode. Possibly tomorrow. The yard guy's coming early in the morning. He likes to get a jump on the day, and I don't blame him, but it's going to be really cold. But we do want to look at a lot of the other sounds that dogs make and why. So we'll be working on that over the next couple of episodes. Next week, for sure, I'm at my educator job Monday and Wednesday. So we won't be doing episodes then, and we'll just see what unfolds. So thanks for joining us today for this episode of Conversations with a Corgi. I think my phone with the sound is trying to update or something, so we will not have any outgoing music. All right, thanks for joining us. Everybody have a great day, and listen for your dog to make that little sound that they make when they're happy. Thanks for joining us.